Friends, on January 28, Tesla delivered an earnings report that left the entire market confused, even suffocating. Revenue came in at $24.9 billion, down 3%. Year-over-year net profit barely held up, but still declined year-over-year. What does that mean? It means the engine once hyped as a perpetual growth machine appears to have stalled. The Tesla that could grow endlessly just by turning the crank seems to have hit the ceiling overnight. If you only look at surface-level numbers, that fear makes total sense. Cars are selling slower. Revenue is shrinking. The explosive growth is gone. Isn't this just the standard script of a manufacturing giant sliding into mediocrity and zero-sum competition? But if you actually believe that story, you may be making a seven-figure cognitive mistake, because when you zoom in on the details of this seemingly boring report, you'll find the truly shocking signals aren't on the income statement at all. They reburied as invisible landmines. So where did the missing growth go? It didn't vanish. It transformed into $2 billion, fueling Musk's private company xAI into the first disclosure of the AI5 chip, delivering a terrifying 50x performance boost, into a record-breaking $10 billion in capital expenditures, stacking mountains of silicon inside Texas data centers. This isn't operational stagnation. This is species mutation. Musk is doing something no professional manager would ever dare to do. He's draining the blood from the car business to feed an as-yet unfinished silicon newborn. In today's AI arms race, compute is oxygen, and Nvidia controls the airway. That $10 billion is essentially Tesla paying its ransom. Musk is trying to smash open a fully autonomous stack from bottom-level chips to top-level algorithms and completely escape dependence on external GPUs. In this episode, we rip off the disguise of this earnings report and stare directly at Musk's challenge to Silicon Valley. Why Tesla is no longer a car manufacturer, but a compute-hungry AI war machine, determined to overthrow Nvidia's empire. Let's first zoom in on the $2 billion investment that sparked so much controversy. This money went into xAI, and at its core, it's Musk locking AI's most critical capability firmly inside his own ecosystem. On the surface, this looks like a classic related party transaction, basically a left-hand to right-hand move. It even triggered shareholder lawsuits accusing Musk of siphoning resources out of Tesla. But during this earnings call, those criticisms were completely overshadowed by a much bigger strategic narrative. Tesla and xAI signed a deep framework agreement. xAI isn't just taking the money, its large model Grok will be officially integrated into Tesla's in-car systems and the robot brain itself. And that explains why Musk dares to cut ties with Nvidia's ecosystem at this exact moment. Because he finally found the missing puzzle piece. Tesla already owns the most massive real-world data set on the planet. It has the strongest execution terminals in the physical world. What it always lacked was a truly top-tier general-purpose brain capable of understanding all of it. That's exactly why Grok exists. Now picture this future scenario. A robotaxi fleet that no longer relies solely on rigid, rule-based algorithms to plan routes. With Grok on board, it gains the ability to understand complex human intent. It can understand passenger complaints. It can read a traffic cop's hand gestures. It can handle sudden edge cases, like an experienced human driver. But that alone still isn't enough. Software independence is just the first step. Hardware independence is the real war. That brings us to the chip Musk says he dreams about even in his sleep, the AI5 chip. On the earnings call, Musk dropped a jaw-dropping set of numbers. Compared to HW 4.0, AI5 delivers 10 raw compute, 9 memory bandwidth, and most importantly, up to 50 performance gains at specific inference bottlenecks. Let that sink in. Tesla is trying to prove one thing: purpose-built ASICs can absolutely crush general-purpose GPUs in efficiency. If this path works, Tesla no longer needs to pay Nvidia its insanely expensive toll fee. At robot scale, tens of millions of units, the cost advantage of in-house chips reaches hundreds of billions of dollars. That's the real subtext of this earnings report. Musk isn't just building cars, he's building brains, and he's building hearts. On the night the earnings were released, many Wall Street analysts reacted with outright confusion, even frustration. Their math was precise and cold. xAI's valuation has already surged to $230 to $250 billion. Tesla's $2 billion only buys less than 1% ownership. Under traditional value investing logic, this looks like a terrible deal. Some even accused Musk of using public company money to feed his private empire. But if you analyze this deal through a pure accounting lens, you've already missed the target. This was never about financial return. This is a technology marriage, one that determines Tesla's survival. Buried in the footnotes of the report is a detail many overlooked. This wasn't just a financial investment, it came with a deep strategic integration agreement. Compared to that tiny equity stake, the agreement itself matters far more. Under the deal, xAI's core asset Grok will be systematically embedded into Tesla's vehicle systems and the Optimus platform. In other words, the real goal isn't equity upside, it's locking critical capability directly into Tesla's products. So why do this? Doesn't Tesla already have the world's most advanced autonomous driving system, FSD? Here lies a massive cognitive trap. FSD is fundamentally a narrow AI. It's amazing at driving. It understands roads, traffic lights, pedestrians, trajectories, but it doesn't understand the world. It doesn't know why someone is waving. It doesn't understand that I am cold means turn up the AC. Grok, on the other hand, is a prototype of general AI. It understands human language, logic, and common sense. Musk used a very telling phrase on the earnings call. In the past, Tesla and xAI were just partners. Now they've entered a deep binding phase. That means Tesla vehicles and future robots will plug directly into xAI's core model capabilities. This isn't just adding a new feature. When Grok is deeply embedded into hardware, the boundary between software and device starts to blur. Products no longer feel static. They evolve inside a shared intelligence framework. The most obvious change shows up first in interaction. Future autonomous vehicles won't just execute commands. They'll understand complex language and respond coherently. But the deeper impact isn't about chatting. It's about how learning and feedback change when millions of devices share the same intelligence model. Picture 2026. Tesla deploys tens of thousands, eventually millions of Robotaxis across Dallas, Houston, Phoenix, and 9 major cities. Who commands this steel army? Human dispatchers. Impossible. Rigid algorithms. Too slow. Musk revealed Grok's second identity, the central brain of the entire robotaxi empire. Grok will process real-time data from millions of vehicles. It won't just route traffic, it will predict demand. For example, by analyzing social media and news, Grok knows there's a massive concert downtown tonight. An hour in advance, it redirects idle robotaxis toward that area. This level of global coordination simply cannot be matched by Uber or Didi's traditional algorithmic platforms. Each Tesla becomes a neuron connected to the edge of a single superbrain. For Optimus, Grok's importance is even more obvious. Musk admitted the hardest challenge in robotics isn't hands or motors, it's real-world intelligence. Most robots today are pre-programmed. They repeat actions they don't understand. With Grok on board, Optimus gains common sense. Say you tell a robot, "I'm thirsty." A traditional robot is confused. Optimus, powered by Grok, understands the intent. It scans the room, finds a cup, walks to the dispenser, pours water, hands it to you. That sequence requires language understanding, visual perception, logical reasoning, and task decomposition. Only large language models like Grok can give robots this human-like general intelligence. That's the true meaning of the $2 billion investment. Not the money, but locking models, hardware, and real-world feedback into one closed loop. If we zoom out and look at the broader AI competitive landscape, one thing becomes very clear: everyone's strengths are uneven. Companies like OpenAI and Google lead in general-purpose models. They're great at text, images, and code, but they mostly live in the digital world. On the other side, many robotics companies have deep experience in mechanical control and motion, but lack high-level understanding of environments and tasks. They rely heavily on preset instructions. Tesla is trying to fuse these two extremes. It wants intelligence to run directly inside physical carriers, and then use real-world data from continuous deployment to feed the system back into training. That structural choice means Tesla isn't competing on a single Model S benchmark score. It is competing on system-wide evolution speed. And only Tesla, through this xAI investment, completes the perfect puzzle: the strongest body, plus the strongest brain. The data advantage created by this combination is devastating. xAI trains large models in the digital world, absorbing the totality of internet knowledge. Tesla collects data from the physical world through millions of cameras mounted on cars and robots, recording how reality actually behaves. When model intelligence and real-world data live inside the same system, change begins to accelerate. Through vehicle and robot sensors, Grok continuously experiences reality. At the same time, autonomous driving systems and robots gain higher-level understanding of human behavior and scenarios from the model. This two-way feedback loop is something neither model-only nor hardware-only companies can replicate. Kathy Wood later admitted she had underestimated Tesla's humanoid robot progress precisely because she failed to factor in this deep, underlying synergy. Right now, Tesla is using xAI as the interface to connect AI, robotics, and energy systems into a single structure. This level of structural integration creates a system advantage that depends heavily on internal coordination. Not isolated technological breakthroughs, but to run this system across millions of vehicles and robots. Models alone aren't enough. You need hardware capable of sustaining extreme computation and real-time decision-making. That's why the next-generation compute platform, mentioned repeatedly in the earnings call, the AI5 chip, becomes so critical. Here's the key point. In today's silicon world, no chip is truly designed for physical AI. Nvidia SH100 is powerful, but it's designed for air-conditioned data centers. It was built for workloads like ChatGPT, pure text logic. Put that chip in a car trunk or inside a robot's chest, and the power consumption is excessive. Worse, when handling real-world instantaneous reactions, microsecond-level delays still exist. That's the fundamental reason Tesla must build AI5. This isn't about saving money, it's about breaking physical limits. On the earnings call, Musk dropped numbers that sent shockwaves through the semiconductor industry. Compared to the HW4 hardware already deployed at scale in vehicles. 10 increase in raw compute, 9 increase in memory bandwidth. But the most shocking part wasn't those headline specs. It was a very targeted breakthrough. At specific inference bottlenecks, AI5 delivers up to 50 performance improvement. Pay attention to that phrase, inference bottlenecks. In real-world autonomous driving, what determines life or death isn't average compute, it's instantaneous burst performance in extreme scenarios. Imagine a stormy night. Blinding headlights from oncoming traffic. A pedestrian in dark clothing suddenly steps into the road. Current chips might need 0.1 seconds to Dinwa's massive sensor input and reach a decision. AI5, with that 50 bottleneck breakthrough, compresses reaction time to the edge of human neural reflex limits. Musk has said that even with HW4 alone, FSD safety could exceed humans by 10. With AI5, he's trying to push accident rates as close to zero as physically possible. This is a qualitative leap, from assisted driving to absolute, unsupervised autonomy. This chip is the final key that allows Tesla to remove the steering wheel entirely. But designing the strongest chip is only step one. What Musk revealed next on the call exposed his true ambition: rewriting the global semiconductor supply chain. He stated, very seriously, that Tesla is evaluating the possibility of building a massive domestic chip fabrication facility. In the semiconductor world, this sounds borderline suicidal. Chip manufacturing is the crown jewel of modern industry, territory dominated by TSMC and Samsung after decades of brutal optimization. A car company entering wafer fabrication. Yet Musk presented an unassailable survival logic. This isn't just about cost, it's about future capacity fear. According to Tesla's internal estimates, once Optimus robots and Robotaxis scale into the tens of millions, existing global advanced packaging capacity will be nowhere near sufficient. Musk said it plainly, even if you count the best capacity from Samsung and TSMC, I still think it's far from enough to meet future chip demand. This is classic Musk-style foresight. He's betting that in 3 to 4 years, global AI compute will face an epic shortage. At that point, Nvidia, Apple, AMD, everyone will be lining up at TSMC's door. If Tesla doesn't want production halted by chip shortages, if it doesn't want its lifeline in someone else's hands, it must own its own money printer. In a world where supply chains are fragmenting, securing control over silicon becomes Tesla's highest continuity strategy. This goes beyond business competition. It's about ensuring Tesla's factories never stop because of a blockade or disruption across the ocean. This depth of vertical integration surpasses even Ford in its prime, touching the very bottom layer of modern industrial civilization. At this point, Tesla's full-die Nvidia roadmap finally comes into focus. This isn't just a technical argument, it's a trillion-dollar economic equation. Wall Street's biggest misjudgment right now is still valuing AI costs using the logic of buying GPUs. Nvidia's GPUs are general-purpose compute units. To support every workload, they carry massive redundancy. That's like using a Swiss Army knife to cut steak. It works, but it's inefficient and expensive. Tesla is taking the ASIC path. AI5 is custom-built for FSD's neural transformer architecture. It strips away unnecessary transistors, leaving only pure matrix computation. At equal compute output, ASICs offer energy efficiency and cost advantages that are multiples, even orders of magnitude, beyond GPU. Imagine producing 100 million Optimus robots. If each robot needs an Nvidia GPU, the cost per unit could reach tens of thousands of dollars, instantly killing commercial viability. With in-house AI5 chips, scale effects compress marginal costs to hundreds of dollars. That's why Musk no longer needs to work for Jensen Huang in the AI era. Compute isn't just a cost, it's a long-term capability. Tesla is building a unified system, models from xAI chips from its own platform, compute capacity no longer fully dependent on external suppliers. The core logic isn't just cheaper procurement, it's certainty of access. When compute becomes scarce, the ability to expand steadily becomes competitive advantage itself. Now, if we understand Tesla's software and hardware independence, we must face the real question. How should this be reflected in valuation? Using traditional PE ratios or vehicle delivery growth alone may no longer capture Tesla's expanding boundaries. The issue isn't whether those metrics are wrong, it's whether they're complete. Here's a deeply counterintuitive data point from the earnings report. In 2026, Tesla expects capital expenditures to hit a record $10 billion, the highest in company history. In traditional automaker logic, that kind of spending builds factories, stamping lines, paint shops. But this time, the money isn't going into shells. It's going into the incubator for Silicon Life, chips, data centers, robot production lines. This introduces a precise computing concept, the bootloader. Before an operating system starts, a small piece of code loads the core system, then exits. Market consensus is shifting toward a new view. Tesla's massive car business is essentially that bootloader. Those millions of vehicles on the road don't exist just to sell cars. They generate cash flow and data to fuel Tesla's next AI explosion. That explains why Tesla can still produce $1.4 billion in free cash flow, pushing cash reserves to $44.1 billion. This cash isn't just a buffer, it's fuel. Car sales remain the stable source, while funds are continuously redirected into xAI and op. This signals a shift from manufacturing efficiency toward long-term platform construction. Under this backdrop, valuing Tesla purely on deliveries or short-term margins becomes increasingly inadequate. To reinforce this shift, Musk announced that Tesla plans to halt Model S and Model X production in Q2 2026. This wasn't emotional, it was capacity math. Those models sell about 50,000 units annually, occupy valuable production space, and contribute limited returns. That space will be reconfigured to support robot manufacturing. From a resource allocation standpoint, it's a factory space recalculation. The same footprint produces limited revenue with SX, converted to robots. Even conservative assumptions imply vastly larger upside. This isn't nostalgia versus innovation, it's capacity efficiency. Tesla is concentrating finite resources, minus capital, land, power, compute into higher optionality directions. It's deliberately abandoning lower marginal contribution businesses to focus on robotics and AI. Meanwhile, an overlooked stabilizer emerges. Energy megapack deliveries continue to grow with strong margins, providing steady cash flow. This energy business gives Tesla financial resilience while it funds long-term AI bets. Once infrastructure is in place and factory space reallocated, Tesla's business model undergoes final transformation, from one-time hardware sales to recurring high-margin software services. For the first time ever, Tesla disclosed a critical number: 1.1 million users have subscribed to or purchased FSD. This disclosure wasn't accidental, it was a signal forcing Wall Street to model FSD as a standalone business. Before 2024, FSD adoption was slow. After FSD v12, growth exploded. With roughly 330,000 monthly subscribers paying $99 a month, annualized revenue approaches $400 million. This is pure software. Margins are near 100%, and that's just the appetizer. The main course is Robotaxi. Tesla expects unsupervised Robotaxis to cover major U.S. cities in H1 2026. Once this model works, Tesla stops just selling cars, it sells mobility services. When just 1,000 to 2,000 Robotaxis generate 5 to 10% of free cash flow, valuation logic changes in discrete jumps. This is fundamentally a valuation system issue. Manufacturing earns 10 to 20 multiples. High-growth software and platforms earn far more. As software, services, and platforms take up more of Tesla's profit mix, the market is forced to reprice that SY arc. Invest focuses less on short-term deliveries and more on autonomy scale and robot deployment. Tesla is no longer just an EV company. It's becoming a platform spanning compute, energy, and robotics. The xAI investment, chip development, and capacity shifts are not isolated events, they're coordinated resource reallocation toward one goal. For investors, the key isn't quarterly sales noise, it's whether Tesla's future profit center is shifting. Seeing that matters more than endlessly tweaking short-term models. That's all for this episode. See you in the next one.